you can't just amputate the leg of a possum that needs it to climb to live.
As a whole, Australia's kind of moving towards getting all vet nurses to be registered. Welcome to the Big Small Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Lunt, and in today's episode, I speak to a wildlife and exotics veterinary nurse. We talk about what it means to be a vet nurse, how she became a vet nurse, the ups and downs of that process, and why crows are cool. She drives a Suzuki Jimny, and she loves her job. Please welcome to the podcast, my guest, Sampy Jay. Sampy, how are you going?
Hey, pretty good.
You're doing pretty good. You're pretty good. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm also doing pretty good after everything that's just been going on in the beginning, but that's fine. We sorted it out. Just a bit of technical problems. So Sampy, we started off last time with
False start.
with the false start, and you work at a wildlife hospital.
Yes.
You said you started back in 2014.
Yes, that's correct.
So give us a backlog where we missed out last time.
Yes, as you're saying, I started out there in approximately 2014 as a volunteer, actually.
Oh, okay.
Before
Had you done any studies up until then?
I was currently doing the Bachelor of Applied Science in at Gatton.
Right.
Yeah, in wildlife science.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, started as a volunteer receptionist.
Yep.
And then started volunteering in the wards. Got hired as a junior vet nurse at the time.
Right.
And so I was there for about 3.5 years. Left for 5. Actually, funny story.
Yeah.
5 years to the day. My last day there was the 26th of September 2017. And my first day back was the 26th of September 2022.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That is pretty bang on. Was that planned or no?
No, not at all.
What a blissful accident.
So a couple of years, but spread out between quite a substantial time.
Yeah. And then where I met Sampy was at an automotive
retail.
At an automotive retail. It's top secret. Need to know and no one needs to know. But met her at an automotive retail because I have a Suzuki Jimny. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a Suzuki Jimny is, but it's a small four-wheel drive, and it's got a cult-like following. People, when you're driving past, you wave. It's fantastic. You feel like you're not alone on the road. It's good fun. You make friends real easy. Anyway, so I had my Jimny. I saw a Jimny out front of this joint, and I was like, I've seen it a couple times. I've got to find out who owns it. And so I go inside and I ask. I was buying something because I probably broke my car again, and I was like, hey, who owns the Jimny outside? And then Sampy was like, hey, that's me. I was like, oh, sweet, I got a Jimny too. So look at the Jimny.
Jimneys.
Yeah. And then we started talking about Jimneys and all the hype and excitement and silliness. But I think
and then you turned into a regular customer
yeah,
because Jimneys broke so much.
Pretty much, yeah. My Jimny broke so much, and it's kind of also because I broke it so much, and then. I did actually turn into a regular customer. I still go there all the time. Sampy no longer works there, so I don't have my Jimny buddy. But I don't know, making friends with everyone else though now instead.
I see you at my new workplace.
Yeah,
for different reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons. Exactly. That was very funny. So from both sides, from cars to wildlife, each time you seem to just have been there anyway. And now I'm a regular customer there. But does that sound like it? That sums out pretty much what happened.
Yeah,
from what I remember. It was very.
You met me during my holiday job.
Yeah. What was that? A holiday job?
It was supposed to be.
Oh, and then extended
5 years later.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You were meant to be there only for a short time, and then all of a sudden you weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, far out. But so Jimneys, we'll get back to that later. Another topic in itself. But in regards to this veterinary wildlife hospital thing, you've been going there. You've recently started back up. You've done a couple courses up until then. I'm assuming that's one of the reasons why people initially hired you. The people at this powers that be initially hired you was because you had kind of started along that path. of wildlife and interest. With your wildlife joint, was it always something that you wanted to do? To be a wildlife veterinary nurse?
I always wanted to be. My childhood dream when I was growing up was to actually be a veterinarian for dogs and cats.
Okay, domestic.
Yeah, except then it turns out you have to be really good with maths and science.
Oh, really?
Well, some of the vets that I've previously worked with will dispute that. But yeah, it's a very intensive process to do. And I sort of took a sideways turn into the music business.
Oh.
So I actually started out studying music business first. So I sort of, for a period there, I kind of gave up on the childhood dream, but I'm really glad that I circled back around to it. And essentially am still doing my dream job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you took a pause. You did music for a time. Music business.
Music business, yeah.
Yeah. What, you're going to want to become like a record dealer and...
Tour manager.
Yeah, a tour manager.
Tour manager,
interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Which I'm glad, obviously since COVID, I'm really glad I didn't go down that path.
Because, there's not much work down there when everyone shuts you down very, very abruptly, Mr. Government. Anyway, please don't censor me. Okay, so veterinary nurse, it's been a childhood dream. You paused on it. You're back in it now. Was there ever a moment, I guess, that you realized that you wanted to be a veterinary nurse? Like, why do you want to be a veterinary nurse? And kind of, I guess. Like what? Like, do you just I know you kicked your toe on a rock and then put a band-aid on it and then you found a bird and then you're like, oh, we're buddies, and then and now you're like, I'll fix you next time you hurt yourself because you brought my band-aid to me.
I was always raised around animals, to be honest. Yeah.
On a farm or in a
no, childhood dog.
Yeah.
And around people that had animals as well. My auntie is a horse person. I know nothing about horses, but I was always just brought up in that sort of environment where the animal-human relationship was really close.
Yeah.
So my dad, prior to me coming along, had been a dog breeder and shower, specifically of Great Danes.
Right. Then the big dogs, right?
Yeah.
They're the biggest?
No, they're not the biggest, but they are pretty big.
Okay. I know a lot about dogs.
They're pretty big. So he used to breed and show them. Long before I was born.
Ludicrous? Ludicrous? Oh, damn.
Hold up.
Yeah, I got that wrong. Lucrative.
Lucrative?
Yeah. I was like, ludicrous? That's the wrong one. Lucrative. Yeah. Is it a lucrative business to be in that sort of kind of dog, species of dog?
To be honest, I'm not too sure. I don't really have much to do with the breeding side of things.
Yeah,
and
back then.
It was way back then, and like I said, this was before I was born.
Yeah.
So
True.
I had nothing to do with it, but that was
it's kind of the vibe you grew up with.
Yeah.
Animals.
Animals.
Domesticated generally.
Yeah. Domesticated animals as far as like what I had in my life, but I've still got VHS documentaries about wildlife around the world. VHS that my parents gave me. Yeah.
I'm old enough to have remembered VHS.
You remember VHS?
I'm old enough to have VHS.
I have Lion King on VHS, the original.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was before my time. No, I remember watching Spider-Man. I remember watching Spider-Man. You stick your finger in and you just bring it backwards. Yeah, 100. I remember that. I remember that. But anyway, I digress. VHS. So I guess that because you said originally you wanted to be just a domesticated, not domesticated vet. Everyone, a domestics vet, right?
Yeah.
And so then it kind of morphed into wildlife because mathematication was a super big part of being a vet. I would think, would not math be important in both?
Math is important in the real world in a lot of applications.
Yeah.
I highly enjoy the concept of math.
Right. Just not
And
the
I
application.
appreciate that other people are all over that.
Yeah.
But me, I see numbers and I kind of blank as I carry a calculator around all the time.
Yeah.
Well, they tell you in school you won't have a calculator growing up.
Yeah,
like
wrong.
Wrong.
Phone.
Wrong.
I have Google now.
Yeah.
Sir Matthew from West Side. No, I'm joking. There was no West Side. No Matthew. Anyway, I digress again. I didn't realize that working with wildlife was a viable career option when, I was 10. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So okay. And then obviously then as you got older, then you realized that was possible. And
Yeah.
Then, so it kind of opened your eyes to what the possibilities were.
Yeah. Thanks. Totally Wild.
Totally Wild.
Totally Wild.
Was that? It sounds familiar. Can you refresh me on what that was?
So it was a show on Channel 10.
Yeah.
It was originally a show. Now I believe it's still going, but it's not a show anymore. It's a segment of another show.
Oh, right.
So they've sort of cut it down, but
right.
yeah, and it was all about wildlife and
Yep.
wild animals and captive animal facilities and
Yeah, right.
Ranger Stacy.
I kind of remember Stacey. I don't. I kind of remember Ranger
It was
Stacey.
a kids wildlife program.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was kind of okay. So that kind of I guess the show in itself also kind of encouraged you along that path because you're like, oh, it's so cool. Look at the wildlife. I mean, I'm coming from experience too. I was like, oh, it's so cool. Look at the wildlife. I was that kid. So it's
yeah,
totally
and
fine.
obviously growing up, like we're in Australia, so grew up with Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
So as just an icon that was always around.
Yeah.
It's always it's a shock when he died. It was a shock when he died.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the era that we both sort of grew up in is
Yeah.
Australia and its wildlife.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean that definitely does make sense. Steve Irwin was a big, impactful sort of person. In regards to your job that you do now, which is a vet nurse.
Yes.
What is the difference between vet and vet nurse? Because obviously
Many
I have
years
not.
of study.
Okay, because I was like, I feel like there's a difference there.
There is definitely a difference, not just in the years of study, but legalities. So what can be done by a veterinary surgeon versus a veterinary nurse.
Right.
So a veterinary nurse always acts under direct supervision of the veterinary
surgeon.
of the veterinary surgeon. And it differs state to state as to what those duties that can be carried out as a veterinary nurse are.
Yeah.
It's not currently mandatory to be registered, but they are working towards that.
Do you have to be registered?
You don't have to be unless you're in Western Australia.
Okay. But as a whole, Australia's kind of moving towards getting all vet nurses to be registered.
Yeah, they are working towards it.
Okay, and the surgeons are already registered? Or no?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
okay. So they're just working towards adding you guys to the list.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But they have to get it's a whole thing. There's a
will
lot
it
of
affect,
legislation.
How will that affect your work, I guess?
Well, hopefully.
In a positive way?
In a positive way.
Okay.
So hopefully it brings, the standards across the industry to a much higher level.
Yeah.
Holds people accountable for continuing education, as well as, sort of putting our name out there, vet nurses' name out there to be trying to think of the words. Try to be diplomatic. So we can get paid more.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, that's well put.
Yeah. So we can get some more money.
Yeah. Because the world's getting expensive.
Very expensive.
Mm.
But also yes, recognition basically.
Okay.
Recognition.
It makes it more of a formality, and with formality comes recognition and status, I guess, to some extent.
Yeah, it's sort of like a title
badge.
protection.
Yep. Okay. And then the surgeons, so nurses, they do need to be supervised. Surgeons don't need to be supervised. Is that something where you want to go, or like what's your future goals in regards to you're here now?
Mm-hmm.
You started off in you want to be a vet, a domestic vet. and now you're a wildlife vet.
Nurse.
Pickle. Baloney. A wildlife vet nurse. And then is there what's I guess the future like in regards to where you're aiming for, and then how will you go about getting there?
I'm pretty happy where I am at the moment, to be honest. Yeah, I love my job.
Oh, that's good.
I definitely love my job. I guess there's always room for improvement. So if I was going to have any sort of career goals or aspirations, it's within the company that I work for, but certain aspects to maybe be developed more, to have more support, that sort of thing. A wider scope of being able to do things, especially with domestic birds and that sort of stuff. But the industry as a whole, because it's science medicine based, it's ever learning, ever growing. Things are going to be changing all the time. But I'm pretty happy where I am.
With vet nursing, what are some challenges that that you guys face that people wouldn't, I guess, first think of when they see vet nurse? Because I would think, imagine me, a complete no idea what's going on. Almost don't do that anyway. I mean, go on, you're just a vet, and you're like, no, it's a vet surgery nurse. I'm sorry. Anyway, so
and you say, what do you think that I do?
Yeah, well, I
can I flip this interview?
I mean, you can. You have. Okay, well, I would think of vet nurse. Well, you've given me some details. So, vet nurse, they can't do things by themselves. I mean, they're invalids. No, that's not what I'm saying. They need supervision to work on surgical procedures, and you take care of the animal's needs at a finer scale, water, food, enclosure health, that sort of thing, and then preparation, I guess, for surgery as well. That's what I think a vet nurse would do. Am I right or wrong?
I mean, you're sort of on the right track of things, I guess.
Just the wrong mountain.
So we'll sort of, as far as surgeries and that sort of thing goes, we're very patient attentive in terms of we don't have anything to do with the performance of the surgery itself. That's all the surgeon, the veterinary surgeon. Good. But we'll be, monitoring the anesthetic and monitoring the patient and making sure the patient's stable.
And the heartbeat sensor.
Yep. And make sure that goes off because, the vet needs to concentrate on what he or she is doing, what they are doing. So it's one less thing for the vet to have to think about because they have to think about,
cutting the animal. Blood, organs flying everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. Whereas, during a surgery, the nurse takes care of the patient itself.
Yeah. Okay.
And all the vital signs and make sure everything's trucking along okay. That's sort of the clinical. There's within the veterinary nurse field. There's many different aspects and specialties that they could do.
Right.
So, surgical is one of them. Surgical nursing. There's clinical nursing, and then we've also got wards as well. So where it's the feeding, the cleaning, the weighing, the medicating, all that sort of stuff. All encompassing sort of behavior, dietary,
That's everything, right? And so that's what you do. You do all those extra things.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're like an all-rounder, sort of vet nurse. Okay. All right. Well, for someone that would like to get to where you are today, as a vet nurse, which is different to a vet, clarify what the difference is. Would you mind?
In title, salary, years spent studying, legislation.
Right. Okay. So a bunch of different things. Right. Okay. That's a big bucket. Well, for someone who wants to be a vet nurse with the title of vet nurse, what would be?
Well, it's like asking the difference between what's a doctor and a nurse.
Oh, freak, man.
Yeah.
The same thing, just without animals. Right?
Funny.
I guess. And then there's less fur. Well, I guess with that, unless you're a snake in that case, then you've got no fur. So that's a pointless argument that I made. Anyway, for someone that wants to be a vet nurse, what are some goalposts that you would put up for them to have a better idea of how they could get to where they want to go?
Volunteering
Mm-hmm.
is great. Starting studying is great. So the Cert 4 in vet nursing at the moment, or there's also the diploma of vet nursing. You can also study the Bachelor of Veterinary Technology as well. There's a few different studious avenues into it.
Yes.
All of which I highly recommend.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Obviously.
That's how you got into the field.
To be a certified, qualified vet nurse, you have to do the qualification. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that also makes sense too. You can be like just working on your pet dog at home, and then you're like, oh yeah, I worked on Sia. That's how. And then I realized
she looks great.
She does. I
She
didn't
looks
do it. 100%. I would have cut off a leg or something or a ligament, and then she would have had to have a doggy wheelchair. But anyway, lucky I'm not a vet nurse or a vet or a surgical person. I just tell the jokes. I just live the life. Okay, so that's how. So those would be your suggestions.
Yeah, and I believe with the study that's required, you need to have work placement as well. So that's how you get some experience. But it's more competency based as far as the cert is concerned. So it's sort of hand in hand experience and the study.
Right.
So yeah, volunteer as much as you can, get work placement done, learn as much as you can in your own time, and yeah, just keep trying because the industry is screaming for vet nurses.
Right.
Yeah, they're definitely in short supply.
Okay. Oh, is there any particular reason that is the case now? Has there been an influx? Is this there been a long time coming that you could see this was happening? There was going to be a shortage. Or is this just due to the land development that is occurring, and so there's a lot of wildlife habitat that is disappearing, and so then a lot of animals and wildlife damaged also in the process, and so then you're outnumbered, or what would you say is the cause behind that?
The old chestnut of cost of living.
Right.
And not being paid enough.
Right. Okay, so that's it. Wow, not so simple. Here I'm thinking the world's coming to an end, and due to the land development.
Is it not?
I mean, you actually are. You're right. The world is coming to an end eventually. The world's running out of vet nurses, and the shortage problem is because of them of the blimmin' interest rates of life.
I was going to say it's affecting multiple industries, not just vet nursing.
It's just not vet nursing, but that's
sort of life right now, the world right now.
Right. So, but that is the main reason why. It's not because of animals and people taking over the world. It's because of silliness. Anyway.
I mean, people are taking over the world.
Yeah, that too. Well, I make some really good points to myself, but I don't realise it, eh? But anyway, it's fine. So, recently I saw on your Facebook and Instagram you had a brolga and a frickin' wombat.
And a wombat.
In Queensland.
Yeah.
Which is abnormal. Now, was that they're not wild? That was not wild.
No.
That was
they were not patients that day. No, they were stock animals. Stock animals, captive animals.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
But they weren't patients. They weren't being taken care of. They were just having a walk about Ipswich or something.
Yeah, a little treat for the staff that day.
Oh, right. So does the body that be, do they often get random animals in for a hug?
No, not often.
Okay.
It was a favour for a friend, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
A favour for a friend, and they get a brolga and that's like some thug life sort of stuff. I'll get a favour for a friend, get a brolga and a freaking wombat.
I'll bring you a wombat, yeah.
Damn, that sounds, I mean, for me...
Puppy cuddles for lunch? I mean...
Yeah.
Wombat cuddles for lunch.
You held some real whack-ass animals. That's really cool. So that's a plus of being a vet nurse and working at a wildlife... Hospital facility. Now, what are some cool stories and experiences that you've had? What are some really stuff that people wouldn't expect or think about, or just something that you found really, really cool in your job.
Oh, there's so much cool stuff in regard to my job.
You have to break it down.
A cool thing. Getting brought a wombat to cuddle during lunch, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Definitely out of the ordinary.
Yeah. You know when you get asked a question, your mind just goes completely blank.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's all pretty cool.
It's
Something
kind of
that
like when you hit a kangaroo, just on a chimney. It's more like the chimney goes than the kangaroo. Kangaroo's fine. Chimney's not.
The kangaroo's not fine.
Okay, the kangaroo's not fine. You should turn around, check it out, bring it to
Do a pouch
Sampy.
check.
Yeah, bring it to Sampy. She'll take care of it if it's alive. Anyway.
Something that people wouldn't consider, I guess, is the high euthanasia rate that we have. Generally speaking, if you can put your hands on a wild animal, there's something very wrong. So, unfortunately, by the time a lot of these cases get brought into us, oftentimes it's too far gone, or it's too advanced.
Yeah.
Or something that,
That's a good way to put it.
you know, unfortunately can't be treated. So the big difference, especially in between domestics, for example, and wildlife, besides the animals, the kinds of animals, is that a lot of things that you can treat a dog or cat for, you can't ethically treat for a wild animal. You can't just amputate the leg of a possum that needs it to climb to live. So there's a lot of ethical considerations, I guess, which I guess that's something that people wouldn't consider.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually something I've wondered also, because I brought in wildlife to you in the past. Was wondered if it saw the light of day again. Some of them I'm like, that poor fella ain't got no chance. But at the same time, that's also I do like just the idea of, like, if you can put your hands on it, that usually that means it is too advanced, the challenges that it's the injuries that it has received. Because look, unless you're me, because I mean it is my job to catch wildlife. So
of course.
unless you're a fauna spotter catcher
for the general
public, you're old Joe Blow, and I've seen some questionable old Joe Blows bring some wildlife in, and I was like, no way you ran that down. I do have a
cool story. You just reminded me.
Well,
Joe Blow and
Blow, big ass old Joe Blow. All right, what's this happening?
So we had this gentleman come in. And he's come up to reception, and he's sort of huddled over with something obviously down his shirt. A lot of people do, because a source of warmth, and they don't have a container in their car, so they might wrap something in a towel and then shove it under their shirt. Yeah, that's depending on the animal, can be very dangerous.
But
it's fine. Yes, this gentleman's come in with a lump under his shirt, requesting assistance for a glider that he's found.
Ooh.
So we're thinking, all right, sugar glider, squirrel glider, something like that. He's obviously got it wrapped up in towel. We'll just get a box. It'll be all fine. We're all chill, because squirrel and sugar gliders, we deal with them fairly regularly.
Yeah, right.
He then extracts this greater glider from underneath his shirt, just like this big, so fuzzy and so dark. I'd never seen a greater glider before.
Right.
And he's just casually pulled one from under his shirt and surprised all of us, because we just...
Well, they're not super common.
No, they're somewhere on the endangered list.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what classification.
They're somewhere on the EVNT list, but not sure.
Yeah, that I don't know if they're threatened or vulnerable, but they're somewhere on the scale. That was pretty sick, actually.
Yeah.
Especially because that actually did make it through.
Yeah.
And then get sent off to a rehabilitator. So
sweet.
Yeah, good
happy
ending.
Yeah, happy ending for you in that. Yeah,
but also
that
just the weirdest
way to bring it around.
Yeah, and just threw us all off.
Yeah, okay, so that threw you off. Has there any other situations that have kind of caught you out, kind of came from left field, where you expected one thing and something else came from it?
Oh, that happens all the time with...
Oh, that's all the time. Left field is my commonplace.
Well, not quite left field, but usually you take something
Midfield.
with a bit of grain of salt, or especially member
straight
of
up.
public identifications,
Oh,
species
yes,
identifications. That'll.
identifications.
It's
Oh.
a brown snake. It's a brown snake. It's
Oh,
definitely a brown
yes,
snake.
Yes, I hear. Oh
It's
my
a python,
goodness.
dude.
Literally.
You'd know all about that.
Species misidentification is definitely something that I experience a lot of in the snake catching industry. What would be some where you've gotten to today, or the study you've done, or the people you've encountered? What would be some? What would you tell someone, such as your past self? What would you do differently?
What I do differently? That's actually a great question.
And how would you do it, I guess? Or why?
To be honest, I don't feel like I have many regrets in my life because they all led me to where I am now.
Uh-huh.
So if anything was done differently, it could change that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty generally I'm pretty happy.
You're happy with where
yeah.
you are right now?
Yeah. The try harder in school.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I actually kind
Take
of
the
agree
math
with that.
class, do the study, do the homework.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'll listen to me.
I
But-
definitely wouldn't. But
Yeah, but it does actually make a huge impact. Not so much, I guess. Yeah, school generally is useless. However, the points with maths and actually implementing the time and study also teaches you how to study and how to better take on information and apply it into your world and your life.
yeah, definitely.
So I would agree with that. I mean, I was also homeschooled for the last part of my life, which is way better than normal school. Just shout out to all you homeschoolers out there. Keep it up. Wait,
Well, their parents keep it up.
yeah. All you single people, mums out there, because my mum's like, this is not to any guys. I just realised, I'm like, is this a catcall for my mum?
Are you pimping your mum?
My mum is single, but that does not mean anyone can come around. She did 6 kids by herself. Go, mum. Just realised I was saying. I was like, I need to clarify. People don't get the wrong idea. Because it happens sometimes. I'd be like,
That you pimp your mum out.
yeah, unintentionally. People, it's fine. Anyway, it's not, my mum's fine. She's happy by herself. Leave her alone. Golly goodness gracious. Okay, so school. School's good. School definitely helps out. So school, study in school, stay in school, and focus on school. Don't skip classes and all that jazz. We're coming to the final part of the podcast, and I just want to know, Sampy, what is your favorite animal? Favorite animal and why? And then, yeah. What's your favorite?
I love that you asked this. This is actually one of my favorite questions that you asked. It's also a big one.
Was it a big animal or lots of animals?
Well, my
Is it a
favorite.
whole species? Like, is it the kingdom Animalia?
So my favorite childhood animal was the tiger. All the species of the tiger.
Right.
I think a lot of people grew up with that. And then as I got older, and especially now, like my favorite current animal is like, well, it's companion birds as a group, and then specifically
Companion birds as a group.
as a group, like parrots.
Right.
And
Is
then
that what they're called? Companion birds.
companion birds.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they're a companion.
Yeah, makes
bird.
sense. So like, then they just walk. Like, if you got a blind person, you'll see a bird like walking the street instead of a dog, or not.
Not
right?
quite, and that's like assistance, assistance dog.
I swear they get called the same thing. But anyway, it's fine. It's neither here nor there. Anyway, companion birds. Companion
It's
birds.
companion birds, so parrots as a group, but then within that specifically the cockatoos.
Right. Yes. Your cockatoo's name's Captain.
Slightly biased because I actually have 2 cockatoos.
Oh, you got 2.
I got 2. I have cockatoo species. So I have
You got me there.
I have a sulphur-crested cockatoo and I have a long-billed corella. And yes, you're right. So my sulphur-crested cockatoo is Captain. He's only got 1 wing. And then my long-billed corella, she's Freddie.
Right.
We thought Freddie was a
Kruger?
boy.
Freddie Krueger.
I'm not sure I didn't name her.
Okay.
Yeah, we thought Freddie was a boy. Technically, she's turned into Frederica.
Fredericia, yes.
And she started laying eggs.
That's not a bloke thing. Blokes don't lay eggs.
Yeah. So that's sort of my favorite animal. And then you asked me another question that was like tied in
Yes.
to, I think it was before or after that, which was your favorite patient
Oh, right.
as well.
Yes. And I feel like you would like to answer that.
I would.
You can answer that 100%.
Because I feel like they're really misunderstood and underrepresented. Represented?
Yeah.
I'm English
Yeah,
right
kind
now.
of. The pronunciation could be a little, but it's fine.
Misrepresentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Corvid family, so crows, ravens, sort of thing. They are incredibly intelligent, and they make the coolest sound. Like the Teresian crow, especially, has this sort of. Did you ever watch the Predator movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, the clicking sound that. Yeah, so
I can do it, but I don't do it. I don't want to do it into the mic and be like, "Oh, this is gross. I'm gonna leave."
I can actually find it. I've got a bird app. That's kind of it. Let me
That's
see if I
probably
can.
the best one you're gonna get.
Yeah, it
Straight up creepy. If I was a white man coming from England, I would leave my freaking children on the sands of the shore of Australia and go back to England.
It is the coolest sound. But yeah, I had a definite underappreciation for crows and ravens until I started working with them, and they're easy to handle. They're pretty chill patients. They're incredibly intelligent. They learn so quickly. So yeah, I just wanted to include that as my favorite patient.
Yeah, right. Hey, okay. And so you like crows? I mean, that sounded really cool.
Yeah.
So that would be your favorite patient would be the fact that crows are way smarter than we realize generally, or we realize but we don't give them enough credit for it.
I think that ravens usually, especially in America, ravens get a lot of credit for being smart, and I think people know that, but until you have the experience of working with them, I guess it doesn't really get driven home that much. But because we have ravens here.
What's the difference? Like I've tried. Like I was really into birds for a little bit. But,
were you?
Yeah, I was into photographing birds.
We're both speaking really well.
So good. Into bird photography, I was right into that. I got some decent photos, and it was all with a manual focus lens, and I was like, I did some good photos. But I could not pick up the difference with my little field guide of a book, like next to ravens and crows. I was like, they have scruff, they don't have scruff. I was like, this could also be an artist representation of the bird.
Yes, there's that as well.
So
the
apart from
differences
genetically that I can't see, what could I see that does help?
They're so minor that I think it would be very difficult to tell from a distance.
Right, so you have to hit him first.
Stone the crows. Stone the ravens?
Stone the ravens. It's now part of
it doesn't roll off the tongue as easy.
Stone the crows.
Yeah.
100% sticking with that one.
It's like the curvature of their beak, the size of their head. The crow has a long tail that's sort of straight cut, whereas the raven has a long tail that has more of a roundness to it. The Teresian crow also
like at the base, like it has more
like it.
Oh, underneath.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
The feathers of the tail itself. The base of the feathers in the crow, I believe, are white, whereas in the raven they're more of a grey.
The base feathers, as in like the
when
down.
You part the feathers and
There's white down there.
Yeah.
Bro, I've seen
like little fluff.
I've seen knocked out crows on the road. I ain't never seen white, but there's white down there.
When I'm at work next and I got a crow, I'll try and take a photo for you.
Yeah, please. I have no idea.
Little tiny feathers.
Little fluff balls down underneath.
Their calls are different as well.
Okay.
So if they're sort of the short courting.
We're changing.
We're
changing nationality now.
The Parisian crow's call is much more like staccato. It's much shorter,
Right.
whereas the raven is much more drawn out and elongated. I don't think I could try to do it for the life of me.
Look, that was some really good facts, though. That was some good
Yeah.
facts and point outs, though.
But from a distance, like you
could not tell.
yeah.
Bird. Most people.
Bird, blackbird,
most people,
crow,
Yeah,
crow.
yeah, birds. And then you got ravens, and you got starlings, which are black as well. And then the satin bowerbird, which looks black, but it's not. It's actually dark blue.
Currawongs.
Currawongs. And then...
But they got, those fierce yellow eyes.
Yeah. Currawongs I definitely do know. They've got a pretty thick-ass beak on them too, anyway. But okay. All right, well, so favourite patient, crows. Favourite animal in general is...
Cockatoos.
Cockatoos, fantastic. Well, that's the end of... we're gonna wrap it up there. So we could have covered so much more.
We're wrapping up today?
We're wrapping up today, because 100%... I'm going to have Sampy back because I have a lot more questions that I'd like to find out about.
And I have a lot more answers.
She has a lot more answers.
I wrote out a whole thing.
Wow, smokes, you are way prepared. That is good. This is what I like. From my guests. But it's been fantastic having you on today. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And if you want to see what Sampy does, I'll put her details down in the description. And until next time, we'll see you then.
Peace.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like more information, head over to www.thebigsmall.au and make sure to subscribe as to never miss a future episode. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.